Hello, guys, welcome back. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to Ace Tutor Point. Today we'll go through research methods and sampling, which comes in educational research. It will cover survey, descriptive, development, and experimental research, plus population and sampling techniques. So, what we'll cover today, the agenda of this session is survey research, that is, types, basis of areas, findings, and time periods, descriptive research, characteristics, case study, and observational methods, development and experimental research, longitudinal, cross sectional, and experimental designs. Population and sampling, meaning sample types and sampling methods. So, what is survey research? A structured way of collecting data and analyzing it to draw inference. It uses a systematic way of investigating events or data through a questionnaire or poll. The types of survey research are survey, development, cross sectional area or cross sectional studies, case study method, observational methods. Now, survey method, what's its meaning? Survey research method is such a typical descriptive research method, and non-trading organizations and firms use it for different reasons. Being the simplest method of research, it is used on a large scale in educational, psychological, and sociological researches. Nowadays, survey is conducted by various private, public, trading and non-trading organizations to understand a phenomena that is described, analyzed or interpreted. What's the types of survey? On the basis of area. Social survey conducted by keeping in mind a particular community or society. Political and survey carried out by TV channels to know opinions on political issues or parties. Medical survey conducted to know research about disease, treatment, hospitals and medical services. Educational survey study of the job satisfaction of teachers, problems of teachers, parents, students. More ways to classify a survey on the basis of declaration of findings. Public survey findings are declared publicly. Private service findings are not made public and are to be used for stratification or by the organization itself. On the basis of promotion of subjects, population survey. Information is collected from each unit of population. Sample survey. Information is collected from each unit of a sample on the basis of time period. Cross-sectional survey. Data collected from different groups during the same period of time. Longitudinal survey. Data collected from the same group during different time periods. Now coming to the descriptive research. So, descriptive research is a type of research that describes a population, situation or phenomena that is being studied. It focuses on answering the how, what, when and where questions of a research problem rather than why it happens. Its objectives of descriptive study, correlation study, explanatory study, exploratory study, feasibility study. Concept of it. In simple words, descriptive research inquires what exists at present. Results of the descriptive research can suggest associated with or depicted in terms of quantity, but not cause and effect relationships. Next is characteristics and types. We'll go through the characteristics. So, first, quantitative research, uncontrolled variables, cross-section studies, the basis of further research. Common types: case study method, observational method, survey research, cross-sectional studies. we'll go through case study versus observational method. So, case study method descriptive research is generally a cross-sectional study where different sections belonging to the same group are studied. Case study involves in-depth research and study of individuals or groups. Researchers make use of both qualitative and quantitative observations. A quantitative observation is the objective collected of data, primarily numbers and values. Observational method. It is the most effective method to conduct these research. Researchers make use of both qualitative and quantitative observations. A quantitative observation is the objective collection of data primarily focused on numbers and values, suggest associated with or depicted in terms of quantity findings. Results of quantitative observations are derived using statistical analysis method. We'll go through the third one, that is developmental research method. So, developmental research method focuses on progressive changes living beings such as human beings has progressed remarkably in every aspect of life since Stone Age. Cross-sectional method. According to the time period of subjects to remain under study, two types of developmental research are considered. The researcher is therefore focused or forced to create questions that are general enough to accommodate the general population. Longitudinal method. Questions in surveys are always standardized before administering them to the subjects. A good example of this situation: administering a survey when or which focuses on affective variables or variables that deals with emotions. Next is experimental research method. So, a research carried out in a specific environment that is created to examine the effect of one or more IVS or on DV, controlling the effect of all such extraneous variables which can affect the hypothesis or to check the particular fact in the light of the evidences. So, IV, that is independent variable, the factor which is manipulated by the researcher of which the effect is to be checked. DV, that is independent variable. So, the characteristics or object which can affect it is called dependent variable. EV, extraneous variables other than IVS and DV, which is observed in control situation in experimental research. 9 steps of experimental research. First, selection of area of research. Second, clarification of problem and objectives. Third, formation of research questions or hypotheses. Fourth, clarification of variables. Fifth, selection of construction of research tool. Sixth, clarification of research method. Seventh, defining population and selection of sample. 8th, data collection and analysis. 9th, derivation of findings and report writing. Next is validity and criteria for design. Two types of validity. Internal validity is taken care of in experimental researches in relation to the experimental design. External. The more power of realizing the objective, the more valid the experimental design has, the more it will cover in the physical science. Criteria for a good design. Being able to report on the differences between the control and experimental groups is very important to ensuring conclusions drawn from the study are valid. Aptness testing hypothesis. The most important part of an experimental research is to test a hypothesis by applying an appropriate statistical technique. Adequacy of control. Controlling all extraneous variable is also one of the most important elements of experimental research. There are three experimental research designs. Pre-experimental design, a group or various group kept under observation after implementing factors of cause and effect, no control group or random assignment. Through experimental design, a group or groups are divided in three types: one short case study, one group pretest, post-test, static group comparison. Relies on statistical analysis to improve or disprove a hypothesis. Quasi-experimental design, similar to through experimental, but the assignment of a group is not randomly assigned. It is used in field settings where random assignment is difficult or not required. Population and sample. What is population? The population refers to the set or group of all the units on which the findings of the research are to be applied. Population is a set of all the units which possess characteristic under study and for which findings of research can be generalized. Population may clearly be defined in statement of the problem also. If it is clearly defined in research title, universe may not be there in research. Sample. Sample is a comprehensive part of a population of research. Any subset of population which represents all the types of elements of population is called sample. Sample refers to the small amount of something that gives information about the thing it is taken from. What is sampling? The process of selecting a sample from a population is called sampling. Method used to select a sample is called sampling methods. Researcher can apply certain sampling method out of different methods according to the objective of research. Probability sampling. Every individual of the population has equal probability of selecting a sample due to which it is considered as the best method of selecting a sample. Simple random, systematic, stratified, multi-stage, multiple cluster sampling. Non-probability sampling. Absence of any idea of probability by the method of sampling. One studied a class without any generalization purpose. Incidental, accidental. Judgment, quota, purposive sampling. Next is simple random and systematic sampling. Simple random sampling. A sample selected by the randomization method is known as simple random sample. Randomization is done using tossing a coin, throwing a dice, lottery method, random number table, blindfolded method. Its merits is reduces field cost, free from personal bias, good representative method. Demerits requires complete list of population, not free from error, needs large sample size. Systematic sampling. We select each nth individual from the list n, thus have the desired size of sample known as systematic sample. If sample size equals to n and population size is capital N. Merits. An improvement over simple random sampling ensures representativeness. Demerits. Does not use knowledge about representativeness. Accuracy depends upon sample size. We'll go through the probability sampling, that is stratified sampling, an improvement over systematic sampling method. In it, the researcher divides his population in strata on the basis of some characteristics and draws each sample at random a predetermined number of units from each of these smaller homogeneous groups to examine the population. Merits. It is a good representative of the population. Sample can be administered easily. Observations can be used for inferential purpose. Demerits. It is difficult for the researcher to decide the relevant criteria for stratification. Only the criteria can be used for stratification. Next is multi-stage and multiple, that is double sampling. Multi-stage, multiple sampling. Sampling is done by the researcher is in controlled stages of population. Example, multi-stage sampling to select students of grade 8 across a state. Merits. Good representative of the population, economical and flexible design. Demerits. It is difficult, complex and errors while considering primary and secondary units. Double sampling. It is used to draw the next sample to examine the problem further. Obtained from the first sample. It enables one to check on the reliability of the information obtained. Its merits: reduces the error, leads to inferences of predetermined precision-based number of observations. Demerits: maintains the procedure of the finding to evaluate reliability, applicable only for large samples. We will go through cluster sampling. Means selecting the intact group as a whole. In it, the sample units contain groups of elements, that is clusters, instead of individual members or items in the populations. Example, selecting 15% of degree colleges in a city, then randomly selecting all students of those colleges as the sample. Merits: easy method for education. Observations can be used for inferential purpose. Economical in real terms. Demerits: its observations can be used for representative population. It's highly applicable in education. Non-probability sampling method. This method of sample selection does not have any scientific base. So such sample does not represent sample. In most of the cases, such sample increases the chances of selecting biased sample. So subjects fail to reply the query in some fundamental way from the others in respect to the phenomena being studied. Characteristics: there is no idea of probability of selecting an individual. There is no probability of selecting an individual. It has free distribution. The observations are not used for generalization purpose. Non-parametric or non-inferential statistics are used. There is no risk for drawing conclusions. Next, types of non-probability sample. Incidental, accidental sampling. Samples are taken because they are frequently available. It is known to be representative of the total population. Judgment sampling. The investigator takes the selection of a group by intuition on the basis of a criteria deemed to be self-evident. Quota sampling. It picks out the sample in relation to some criteria which is considered important for a particular study. Purposive sampling. It is selected by some arbitrary method because it is known that it will produce well-matched group. Therefore, generalization is not possible. Merits and demerits at a glance. Sample type. Incidental sampling. Merits: frequently available, easy method of sampling. Demerits: cannot ensure representativeness, unable to employ readily available sampling methods. Judgment sampling. Its merits is objective, used for observations. Demerits: includes uncontrolled variations, not free from error. Quota sampling. It merits: economical, free from error, not free from personal bias. Demerits involve selection of a group deemed to be self-evident. Investigator can be tested or can be best used. Purposive sampling, known that it will produce well-matched groups, picks out sample for a particular study. Demerits cannot be considered important for a particular study. Representative of the total population is not possible. The next is the recap. The key takeaways of this session. Survey research. Types of survey classified by area, findings and time period. Descriptive research. Case study, observational and cross-sectional methods answer the how or what. Experimental research manipulates IV to observe effect on DV, controlling extraneous variables. Sampling, probability versus non-probability methods for selecting a representative sample. This is it from today's session. Hope you have learned something new. It has increased your knowledge. Please like, share and subscribe. Press the bell icon to never miss an update. Till then, keep learning and keep growing. Thank you.